What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the best damn corporeal beast guide ever. In this video, we're going to check out everything you need to know about successfully soloing the corporeal beast. Now, before we get into this video, I'm going to put this out there right now. Each one of these kills is going to take you between 15 and 20 minutes because of everything you have to do to make this boss soloable. But don't worry, we're going to go over everything. All of the gear that you're going to need, what you're going to need to do to kill the corporeal beast, and some other stuff. So, without further ado, let's get started. Hard requirements. First up, for your hard requirements, there are 4 of them that I have for you, and the first one is going to be either a Zamorakian or Dragon Spear. Now, obviously, the Zamorakian Spear is going to be your best option, but the corporeal beast will only take full damage from spear-typed weapons, so you want to have one of the best. You cannot use a Hasta, it has to be a spear. So Zamorakian Spear or Dragon Spear. As for the other hard requirements, there are going to be defense reduction and stat reduction special attack weapons. So first is going to be the Dragon Warhammer. You are also going to want to have an Arclight, and last you will want to have a Bandos Godsword. And we'll get into the specifics of why each of these is needed in a little bit. Suggested requirements. For your suggested requirements, we will start out with level 90 attack and strength. The corporeal beast does have a pretty good defense level, and you're going to need to land a lot of special attacks. So you want to make sure you have the stats to shorten that time as much as possible so you can try to be as efficient as possible when soloing the corporeal beast. For your defense level, I recommend level 70, and this will be for the use of the Carol's armor set, which we'll get into in a little bit. And last is going to be level 70 prayer, solely for the use of the piety prayer. Location and how to get there. For the corporeal beast's location, the lair of the corporeal beast is actually located in the wilderness inside of a cave. Now, the cave itself is actually not in the wilderness. However, getting there, if you choose to not use the easiest way to get there, you would have to travel through the wilderness up around 19 or 20. As for going into the cave, you can use a games necklace, which will teleport you right inside the cave. Now, inside the cave, you'll be in sort of a staging area before you actually enter the corporeal beast's lair. You will have to go through a small tunnel, and then you'll be in a lair and can be attacked by the corporeal beast. As long as you are not inside the main part of this cave, you are safe. You don't have to worry about anything. So your best method of getting there is going to be using the games necklace. Now, I will tell you this, it is highly recommended to have the best rejuvenation pool in your player-owned house and the jewelry box that will allow you to use the games necklace, because you'll constantly be teleporting out and back in using a lot of special attacks. So you're going to want to be able to recharge that and get back as fast as possible. Suggested gear setups. For the gear setups, I usually take you guys through a low, medium, high, and my own personal setup. But for this boss, I'm going to leave out the low, medium, and my own setup and just show the high tier setup with a little bit of comments here. The corporeal beast is a serious boss to solo, so you're going to want to have the best stuff possible when you're doing this. Obviously, there are downgrades, which I will chime in on as we go through this. As for your high tier setup, for the initial gear you'll be wearing to start the fight, you're going to want to use the full void or elite void setup. That would be the melee helm, the torso, the legs, and the gloves. As for the first phase of the fight, which we will get into later, it's going to be the Dragon Warhammer special attack, so you'll want to use a Myth's Cape if you have it. If you don't have that, an Infernal or Fire Cape will also do. Amulet of Torture in the Amulet slot, and if you don't have that, you can downgrade to a Fury, but I wouldn't go any lower than that. In the Blessing slot, it's going to be Arata's Blessing or any other blessing. Arata's Blessing 4 is a reward for the Kabos and Korend Elite Diaries, which gives you +2 to prayer instead of +1. Your weapon of choice is going to be the Dragon Warhammer with an Invernic Defender as the offhand, but you can take that down to a Dragon Defender if needed. Primordial Boots are your best in slot option, but you can downgrade to Dragon Boots if that's what you have. And last, you are going to want a Tyrannical Ring imbued for the additional crush bonus. When you're trying to land special attacks, you don't need to worry about how high you hit the special attacks, you just want to land it. So your attack bonus in the crush style to start the fight off is going to be most important. Now, before we move on to the inventory, I will say this. Elite Void or Melee Void regular style is not actually necessary. It actually is not that much better than regular gear that you see in the inventory if you have the It's Not Face Guard and the Ferocious Gloves. The only thing that Elite Void will do for you is increase special attack accuracy, which is useful. So if you want to lessen your gear switches, then you can leave the Elite Void or the regular Void in the bank and just use your regular gear, but the specs might take you a little bit longer. In the inventory, you will see a lot of items, as I just said. So your first special attack series will be with the Dragon Warhammer. Following that is going to be the Arclight, which you will switch to, and you will use the Warrior Ring with that for better slash bonus. Following those, you will then switch to the Bandos Godsword with the Warrior Ring once again for better slash bonus, so you can try to get those specs stacked in as quickly as possible. The Berserker's Ring Imbued is for when you are actually fighting Corp after you have finished all the special attacks. You want your DPS to be high as high as you possibly can get it. Your Zamorakian Spear is in there because that will be the weapon that you'll be using to kill the Corp after the special attacks. Crystal Halberd is going to be your best special attack weapon because it is considered a spear-styled weapon, so you will hit full damage with that Crystal Halberd. As for the gear you'll be using to fight, the It's Not Face Guard is what I have, Carol's leather top and skirt, Ferocious Gloves, and an Infernal Cape if you have one. I will actually be using a Fire Cape because that's all I have at the moment. As for my potions, I have 1 full Divine Super Combat Potion, 3 Super Restores, 3 Karambwans. I have a rune pouch with Vengeance runes in it just in case you do get hit. I am using the Construction Cape to teleport back to my house because it's easier to use than my Max Cape, but if you don't have either of those, you would use Teleport to Houses. And for the rest of the spots, I have Manta Rays. So before we wrap up the gear and inventory setup, I want to explain the special attacks very quickly. As for the Dragon Warhammer, the Dragon Warhammer reduces defense by 30% every time you land a hit, but it will only reduce by 30% of the current level. So let's say you start out with 1,000 defense, just for example's sake, you land 1 spec, that will be 30% and 300 levels. So your next spec will calculate off of level 700 defense, reduce 30% of that, and then 30% of that for your 3rd spec. But that is just an example. As for the Arclight, this is a demon class weapon. It will do more damage and more attack bonus against demon class NPCs. So for the Corporeal Beast, you will actually be able to reduce stats by 20% on 2 successful special attacks. This does reduce by 10% every time you hit. Now for this, it reduces 10% of the total every time you hit. So regardless of how low the stats get, it will be 10%. And your last special attack, obviously, is the Bandos Godsword, which will actually be used to lower the Corporeal Beast's magic level. All of the other stats will already be down, and the Bandos Godsword does start lowering other stats if defense has been reduced, attack strength, etc. So magic will be what the Bandos Godsword is for. Boss room layout. As for the Corporeal Beast's lair, it's not really anything special. It is literally just a big room that the Corporeal Beast walks around in. There's nothing in here you have to worry about. There are no safe spots. There's nowhere you can trap the Corporeal Beast to take no damage. So it's just a wide open room, and you'll pretty much just be running in using your specs. Once your specs are over, you will just stand there and finish off the fight with some other mechanics in there, which we will get into now. Mechanics and attacks. For the first mechanic for this boss, we will talk about the basic attack. The Corporeal Beast does use magic as the basic attack, and there are 3 different styles of magic attack that the Corporeal Beast uses. The first one being a regular magic attack that can deal up to 65 damage. Protecting from magic can negate 1/3 of the damage from this attack. The next one is going to be a magic attack that can deal up to 55 damage and has a chance to drain magic or prayer by 1 or 2 points. This stat drain only happens when a successful hit is registered. The Protect from Magic Prayer will also negate 1/3 of the damage from this attack. The last one is a magic attack that will split into 6 smaller magic attacks, and both have an AoE effect of 3x3 squares. The main attack can do up to 40 damage if it lands on top of you, or up to 30 damage if it lands next to you. Each of the projectiles can hit 30 if they land on top of you, or 20 if they land next to you, which all can be dodged. The Protect from Magic Prayer will also negate 1/3 of the damage from this attack. The next mechanic is going to be the Corporeal Beast's melee attack. This is only used when a player is standing within melee distance, and it can deal up to 33 damage. Now the melee attack is actually only used 40% of the time. The other 3 magic attacks make up for 60%, so you're going to see a lot more magic attacks than you are melee attacks, but you still need to be aware of it. Next is going to be the Stomp Attack, and this is if you do step under the Corporeal Beast, it could perform that Stomp Attack, which will always deal 30 to 51 damage. It will never hit a 0. This attack actually is on a timer that checks if any players are under the Corporeal Beast every 7 ticks or 4.2 seconds. The last mechanic is going to be the Dark Energy Core. The Corporeal Beast can occasionally send out this Dark Core. It has a 1 in 8 chance of spawning if the Corporeal Beast is hit for at least 32 damage. So if you hit anything under 32 damage, it does not have a chance to spawn, but if you do smack it for 32 or more, there is that 1 in 8 chance that it can spawn. It will also have a chance to spawn when it attacks while the Corporeal Beast's hit points are under 1,000. The Dark Energy Core actually leeches hit points from any players that are on top of or adjacent to it in a 3x3 area, and these will heal the Corporeal Beast. Whatever it takes from you, which can be 5 to 13 damage every 2 ticks or 1.2 seconds, the Energy Core will give back to the Corporeal Beast, and it does jump around to players if you are moving out of the way. Now, there are a couple ways you can deal with this. There is a mechanic where when it jumps to you, if you start spam clicking the tile under you, you will actually kill the Dark Core before it starts leeching damage to you. And the way that you will know that you have done this correctly is if there are no ashes left behind. If you do it incorrectly, the ashes will be underneath. Now, you want to be wary of this because the Corporeal Beast can spawn this Dark Core while you are doing your specs. I would advise you to just ignore it while you are using all of your special attacks and just teleport out afterwards if you do hit something over 32 damage. The last mechanic that we will talk about in this section is actually going to be your mechanics or player mechanics. Now, there's a certain order that you're going to have to do things to make the Corporeal Beast pretty much as weak as a RuneScape chicken. You're going to start out with your Dragon Warhammer special attacks. You will need to land 3 Dragon Warhammer special attacks before switching to your next option. After you have landed those 3 special attacks, you will then switch over to the Arclight, where you will need to land 20 of these special attacks. No more, no less. 20 special attacks with the Arclight. Following that, you will then switch to the Bandos Godsword and land 200 damage in special attacks because the Bandos Godsword does reduce by a flat amount. And you will also have a benefit by using the special attack tracker plugin with RuneLite. It can tell you how many special attacks and how much damage you have reduced by using that plugin. It is very, very useful in the Corporeal Beast kills. Once you have landed all of the special attacks you need to, you can teleport out, recharge your stats, and come back with full special attacks. Start the fight out with 3 Crystal Halberd special attacks, and then start poking it with your Zamorakian Spear. Every time you hit 30% special attack, you can whip that Crystal Halberd back out and throw another special attack out. Example fights and kills. Alright, so now we are ready for our example fights and kills. So the first thing I want to go over here is the instance room of the Corporeal Beast. Now, you can start an instance where only you or your friends can enter. And I would advise doing this if you are going to be camping the Corporeal Beast for a long time, because the probability of getting crashed here is very, very high. So especially if you're an Iron Man trying to solo for those sigils, you're definitely going to want to start an instance. And the way you do that is you will teleport out to the Corporeal Beast using your games necklace, and then you can enter the private portal right here in the southern part of this chamber. It does cost 200,000 GP for a group area, so I would definitely advise you doing that. So you'll also be presented with that warning message there. Read it, make sure you're okay with it, and then continue on. Now, the reason I can do this is because I have an alternate account. If you don't have an alternate account, you might want to ask a friend to do this for you if they're willing to take like 10% of a split if you get something like that, but an alt account is definitely the way that you can go. So now that I have my alt account out there, I'm going to go ahead and start this off. I'm going to teleport to my house, and what I am going to do is make sure all my stats are good. They are, so I'm going to come up to my jewelry box, have the teleport menu ready, and I'm going to select the Corporeal Beast. Now with the RuneLite menu entry swapper plugin, I can come back there and just left click that every time I need to go back. So once I get here, I want to make sure I go into the private portal here, and there is my alt account. All right, so now I am ready to go ahead and start this fight. I'm going to make sure my quick prayers are on Protect from Magic and Piety. Done. I'm going to super combat potion here, and I'm going to enter the passage and get this show on the road. So first up is going to be 3 Dragon Warhammer special attacks. There's 1. And I missed my second one. So you'll see up here in the top right, I have the Dragon Warhammer special attack counter going. So that's 1 right there, and it will keep track of those for me. So there's my third. I'm going to go ahead and switch to my Arclight. And I got my first Arclight spec in there as well. So now I have 19 of those to go. And there is my 20th Arclight special attack. You can see up there, 3 Dragon Warhammers, 20 Arclights. So I'm ready to switch over to my Bandos Godsword and get that 200 damage. So that was my 200th damage point. You can see there 204 Bandos Godsword damage. So now I am ready to get this fight underway with my regular gear. And I'm telling you guys what, this is the hardest part of the fight right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put on my normal melee gear and switch over to the Zamorakian Spear. And that is really all I need to do. I don't need Protect from Magic now. Now we just need to watch out for potential hits that the Corporeal Beast can do, and those damage that will spawn the Dark Core. So there's the Dark Core. It's going to jump over to me. Now I'm just going to move out of the way. I actually like to avoid the core more because it helps me pay a little bit more attention rather than kill it. And this is up to you. You can choose to kill the core, but I prefer to just get out of the way of it. Like I said, it does help me pay a little bit more attention to what I'm doing. So there you have it, guys. That is a solo Corporeal Beast kill. Like I said, it is not hard. It is really not hard. It is just incredibly time consuming for this boss. This single kill right here took me about 15 or 16 minutes to do. So you're looking at somewhere between 3 and 4 kills per hour if you do choose to do it this way. Now with a team, obviously you're going to get a lot more, but you can't make that solo money. So this is your Corporeal Beast solo guide. I hope that you have enjoyed it, and I hope that it helped you out. Ending words. All right, everybody, that is going to do it for this solo Corporeal Beast guide. Like I just said, I hope that you have learned something from this video, and I hope that it will help you out in your solo Corporeal Beast endeavors. If you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up down below. They do help the video's popularity, they help it get around, and they help more people see it and learn from it. If you haven't done so yet, please tap that subscribe button on your way out. I appreciate every subscriber that wants to see more of my content. So once again, everybody, thank you for watching. I will see you on the next one. Take it easy, everybody.